All right.
So what do you want to call this for a lower third?
Video game show brainstorm.
And put stars and exclamation points on both sides.
Yes.
And LULZPWNED.
And ZOMG.
And WTF.
And ZOMG, yes.
And,
I nailed it on that one.
BBQ. WTF BBQ.
KK.
What? Actually,
BYOB.
just across the bottom, put.
We did a crawl of all that stuff.
LOL at Z. What is this? I don't even.
Yes, exactly. That's our URL.
What is this? I don't even. Oh man, that would be a great name for the show.
What is this? I don't even.com.
Should we tweet out to people?
Yeah.
Individually?
Actually, that's a good idea.
My followers would be like, why are you talking about games?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to watch this show, so I will have input too.
I'll retweet what you do, Tom.
I'm going to say Tom Merritt is awesome. Believe everything he says.
And I'll make a generic
Send him money.
Gmail account so people, if they're listening, can also email in
Ah, very good.
ideas.
Schwood can be named not Adam Sessler.
I resemble that remark. Hold on.
That's funny. Nicely
I would
done,
say,
Aaron B.
Hold on, I got messages. Oh, I could download this attachment. There we
Make
go.
sure not to run up your dad's phone, Bill.
Dude, this game is so much fun. I hit up hold on, let me get that name of it again. What was it? 698-5519. So then I go to dialer.
618, that's Southern Illinois area code. Oh, 698.
It's local, yeah.
Where is this game?
I started playing this last night, and it's a whole video game. It's called Digital: A Love Story, and it takes place pretty much in 1988, and it's like I totally remember this world.
First splash screen is Prodigy, and then goes to this.
Wow. It's a Mac.
Well, this is they call it the Amy Workbench, right? And then and so it's like the idea is that you start going through messages and you hit reply, even though you don't actually have to write a reply to everyone, but you start developing this relationship with this Amelia girl. It's like a love story told in a series of text responses. Man, it's amazing. So it's like you leave and then you check your messages and you reply to everyone, and eventually the story unfolds and you dial back again. Oops, I screwed up. Anyway, it's adorable. Like if you are old enough to remember BBSs, much less having run one when you were a kid, then this is a very worthy game. It's called Digital: A Love Story. Yeah, there we go. So if you go to just Google Digital: A Love Story or check my Twitter feed for the details on that.
Looks like the Amiga Workbench OS.
I'm sure that's what they were riffing on. 698-5519. What's funny is like you get excited down the road when 698-5515. You get excited down the road when you get a notepad program that'll record all the numbers for you. Did I do it wrong?
Yep. You're doing it wrong.
5519 is what it is. It's like music.
Ah, I know. I miss that sound.
I kind of do, perversely.
Now that I don't have to deal with it every day, I kind of
It's
it's
be your
adorable,
ringtone,
right?
Yeah. I maybe should make it my ringtone. Hold on, I'm getting a call.
That would be awesome.
Do it.
So the idea of this little get-together here is that we want to do a video game show on TWiT. Glenn Rubenstein has kindly agreed to host and produce it. and we want to know what kind of show it should be, because there's a ton of video game shows out there.
Yes.
And we want to do one that's not only different from those, but one that serves the interests of those of you in the TWiT audience who've been clamoring for a video game show for years. Because there's a lot of dangers to doing a video game show. There's so many different consoles, so many different platforms. How do you treat all of them and still make it interesting to everyone? There's so many different types of gamers on top of that: RPGs, MMORPGs, first-person shooters, strategy. So what do you think, chat realm? If you could describe the perfect video game show, what would you want us to do? And Brian, do you have ideas about this too? I mean, we brought you in because you're a gamer, and I'm sure we would call upon you regularly to be on the show as well.
I actually do have very specific ideas. Number one, it should be a broad strokes show. Leo nailed it when he said that the problem with with gamer programming in general is that it tends to be too fractious, and that's very true. And that you got the PS3 guys who are hating on the Xbox kids who are laughing at the Nintendo Wii kids and so on. But if you could have a show that was about the broad strokes, and maybe almost as if it's reporting on a every time the NPD numbers come out, you report as if it's an aerial view of a battle between three countries. And then separately, you got this totally other conflict of the morphing role of PC gaming and how it interacts with mobile gaming, with independent gaming, with retro gaming. And then it's got its own story over there. To be honest, if I was going to draw a rough sketch, it would really be heavily modeled on the way we do frame rate, in that you would have three broad sections, and within those, you'd have the big story, of course, is where the money is with consoles. That's where the money is nowadays. The second tier would be your PC, indie, and mobile gaming, that kind of thing. But then there would also be a place for surprising stories, because I have not touched my Nintendo DS for probably 4 years, but with great interest, I watched Totally Rad Show talk about the development of Scribblenauts and the idea of that as a video game. I loved it. So I don't think we need to trap ourselves only in one. The bigger we are, the more we appeal to more people, the more popular it could be. That's what I'm saying.
What do you think, Glenn?
Well, I think in terms of focus, definitely. I mean, I agree in terms of focus. I think that really the question starts to come down to, which approach. One, obviously being conscious that correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we want to try and make the format a little different, just so things don't start feeling a little too cookie cutter. But I agree with what you're saying, Brian. I mean, because I think the frame rate approach is definitely, I really enjoy frame rate. Although I would say one thing that I think would be different about this, that would be just a bit more focused on the content, in terms of end user content, in the games themselves, in addition to the news section of it, just to try and, get more of that in, because I feel like people have an interest, in regardless of what system you own. Well, first off, a lot of the big games are cross-platform.
Yeah.
First and foremost, so I think there's not too much of a risk. I think people at least have an interest in what the big games are, because I know with frame rate, you guys don't cover content as much unless it's something really specific. And
it sort of fits, right? We cover the broad strokes, and then we cover the big releases that kind of appeal to a lot of different people.
Yeah.
But again, one thing that we do on frame rate is, if we do talk about something specific, it is always something that we personally are passionate about. Either one of us. And that's one of the if you watch for storytelling in movies, one of the things they always do is, even if it's aliens destroying the whole Earth, they don't tell the story of aliens destroying the whole Earth. They make sure that they focus on the story of one guy and his estranged wife and his kid making it out of the city as it blows up. So if we are going to talk about specific games, it should be specific games that individuals who are on the panel, who are on the show that day, are personally really excited about, and why.
I've seen a lot of games where people are playing the games and you're watching them play the games. Do people like watching that stuff? Because I don't quite understand why you would want to watch something that, unless it was like a dev copy or something that's coming out in the future. I mean, do people want to see you guys playing a game and saying this is a trick, a way around something? Or?
Well, because that's one idea is to have a newsy show that leads into a LAN party.
Yeah,
afterwards.
That's something Leo's very passionate about.
And then we could actually have people in the audience playing against us, and then you could watch the game take place on the live stream. But that's a good question. For those of you who don't take a place, is that something you would watch?
I'll tell you this much: the pool of people who would play in a LAN setting is much smaller than the pool of people who might watch an entertaining event where they're watching other people play. When Portal 2 came out, all I did was send out one tweet: "Hey, Portal 2's out. I'm going to play. Watch if you want." Like 300 people watched me play through all of Portal 2, and it was not entertaining. It's just that the people wanted to know what the buzz was all about, and then so they watched me get frustrated. I had to watch the chat room making fun of me for being an idiot and not solving these puzzles. So I think it can be possible, especially where there's a new release and there's a reason to be excited about it. But think about that in real life. I would say more people walk into the room and watch their brother play through a game on the Xbox than do sit down and play through the game themselves. So, I mean, I think I can't think of the number of times that I've had friends watch me play as through a video game if it was a compelling story and a cool narrative and something significant about the development of it. So I don't know. I would say somebody might watch.
Yeah, the chat room is loving the idea. They want to hear commentary while you're playing it. They would love to watch it. It's the same example that Brian just said about watching their brothers play when they were kids. Like, you pretty much just waited and you watched.
Yeah, and I think that would be really cool. I mean, we were talking about it, so the idea would be that the first hour would be, the straight content in terms of what we're talking about, and then the second hour, opening up, doing, some sort of multiplayer game. We were talking, even if something like running a Quake server and having people connect, doing that, or if it's something where we even have people there, more of a LAN party atmosphere, and Tom and I doing like color commentary and play-by-play.
Oh, and that was an incredible headshot from Brian Brushwood, Glenn.
Yeah.
And he's now teabagging him. Yeah,
so. We're going to have to cut away from the teabagging.
So, I mean, essentially the idea that we would be able to get this broad set of interaction, and even in varying it up, I mean, in terms of like what the game was, whether we could do, I mean, because with console, we can obviously do some stuff via Xbox Live, but I mean, I love the idea of something that we could also have just a monitor on where we can cut around, jump between players, and just give the play-by-play commentary of it. Really just, to make really communicate just the excitement of
so our analogy here is that our LAN party, our gaming session is the live game, and our show beforehand is Sports Center, where we're talking about the topics leading up to playing the game. Somebody in the chat room said, please not a news show, and I'm curious what he meant, or she, as far as not a news show. Is there something else? Because a lot of people are saying reviews and tips, and I think that's where we would fall down, is if we tried to constantly do reviews and tips, because it takes, Glenn. Yeah. It takes a lot of firepower to do good reviews and cheats and tips and all of that.
Although, one thing I was thinking about in the idea, and because I love the Sports Center idea of it, of at least having the first part of the show covering the news, doing it, in rapid fire style, really getting it out there. And then we were talking about the idea that we bring in, a third guest, someone like versus Brian or Jeff Gersman or someone to come in and then talk about it, and then have a fourth guest, which might be a developer, someone to get someone in that would offer a different perspective. But one thing I was thinking about was sort of the old school sort of at the movies idea of, maybe because, doing a lot of reviews each week does take up a considerable amount of time. And then I think you have a chance to lose people. But when there is a big game, I think that it is interesting then to really get into a discussion in terms of critiquing it and critiquing the experience.
So when your Modern Warfare comes out, or your Portal 2, or your World of Warcraft expansion, or Civilization 5, those kinds of things.
Exactly. And I mean, and to Brian, what you were saying, I think definitely when people are passionate about it, it is interesting. I also think there's a certain element, though, when sometimes, I don't know, passion goes both ways. So I think sometimes if you have a big release and you have somebody that loved it and somebody that hated it, I think that's a very interesting discussion.
Absolutely. And in fact, if there's one thing that I could figure out, if part of the purpose of putting this show together is to tie it into some kind of LAN party type environment, then why not have, much as we're doing with Frame Rate and NSFW show right now, having the NSFW Summer Movie League, why not have some other kind of league that is playing as we go through all these different...
yeah, like that.
So it's like, for the next 3 weeks, it's the StarCraft game, and we're gonna go head to head, and we got a side bet, and
and it's all Koreans who won.
But that's just it. People don't care. People don't care. It's kind of like wrestling, right? So it's like people don't care how actually good at wrestling you are, as long as you're entertaining to watch wrestle. I mean, when you watch like various wrestling managers go against each other, you didn't sit there and think, well, that guy's only 140 pounds. How can he possibly? You were too wrapped up in the story to care. And so likewise, if you had some kind of trash talking environment, a long form narrative within this this setup, I don't know. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
World peace through fragging.
What are the bounds of the show? I mean, are you guys going to cover games on even on Facebook? Are you guys going to do mobile gaming on top of that? Because I mean, you can only do LAN party stuff with a certain amount of games like PS3s, Xbox Lives,
and PC.
We rule LAN party.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, but yeah, I mean, how far are you guys going to go with that? Because it could go anywhere. Right? I mean,
I agree with that. I think that for that stuff, I mean, it's really going to come down to the platform, because I mean, for instance, we could do like with Mortal Kombat's a great example. I mean, you can do lobbies with that, so we could set up like tournaments. We could do things like that. I like the idea of the more stuff we could have in person is great, but I don't know how many people want to trek out to the new TWiT studio, because I would actually get old school with that. I wouldn't want to run like tournament Bomberman competition, and just do some really fun stuff, because we're going to be doing the show.
Team Fortress stuff.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing, I mean, we're talking about targeting this time slot of doing Friday afternoon.
Right.
And I know Leo loves the idea of involving the audience as much as possible. So I think that if there were the demand.
Here's the double whammy on having people physically out to the physical place in Petaluma. Number one, for individuals, I mean, everyone who doesn't live within 3 hours of Petaluma is going to be like, oh, man, and they're going to be upset. But then on top of that, how much better is the video play or is the gameplay with physically seeing someone do this in a studio rather than just showing what's happening? I mean, obviously, if there's one thing we've learned from the explosion on YouTube of good commentary for the StarCraft battles, it's like it doesn't matter where the people are as long as you're watching the action in the game and you're able to tell the story.
What? But getting back to Iyaz's question, what is the bounds of this? Not just for the LAN, but for the coverage. Are we going to? I mean, obviously, we cover console games and PC games.
Yeah.
Where else do we go? Do we cover Zynga? Do we cover, NG Moko,
and are you also
iPad?
covering business news within gaming? I mean, like
I think that's what Brian is saying is that the key stuff is like the industry things, because
so like
that sets us apart.
Like EAC, I think CEO or COO.
Right.
But it does. If you talk about the industry, if you talk about it like a giant global battle, then you win on all fronts, because whether you love the PS3 or you hate the PS3, then you tune in, again, professional wrestling style, you tune in to find out how the big news about the security breach at PlayStation tunes into the story. So
okay,
it's like
the chat room is almost overwhelmingly saying no mobile, no social. They want this to be video games on big boxes.
And LAN is social.
I agree with in terms of like Facebook games, because I haven't really seen one yet that, I mean, I don't know, would anyone really get any value in the world of people really talking about Farmville? I mean, actually, you know what? I would be curious to interview somebody that plays Farmville. Like, and be like, so
why do you do it?
Pretty much just and go. No, I think that would be wildly entertaining. But I think that I'll be straight up and say, on the iPhone, I've probably bought about $100 worth of games on the iPhone.
Sure, me too.
And with the exception of Angry Birds and Doodle Jump and strangely that skee ball game, like that. Those are probably the top three for me. And everything else that I've played, even stuff that I've heard wildly recommended by people, just it didn't stick.
I play We Rule.
Yeah.
Wii City, Vampires Live, and Doodle Bowling.
Doodle Bowl is pretty good.
And I constantly am playing a new game, right?
Yeah.
A more of an action game. But those are the ones I get bored with, because what I do with my phone and my iPad is I play short-term games where it's like, oh, I only have a few minutes. I'm just going to jump in and mess with this, rather than these kind of long-term games that you sit and play, like Need for Speed, which is fantastic on the iPad.
Oh, yeah.
But I just never think to play it. It's on there.
The experience doesn't translate, at least for me. But I think that when you're talking about 99-cent purchases or under $5 purchases, I don't think people are looking for as much guidance necessarily.
Yeah.
Whereas when you come to $50 or $60,
and we've got other places. We've got the Social Hour. We've got iPad Today.
Yeah, and they cover a fair amount of stuff. So I think that could definitely be in the small minority.
So week by week, are you guys going to do like, okay, we're doing PS3 LAN party. The next week it's going to be Xbox Live, and then the next week it's going to be all PC, or how is that going to work?
I think one thing that I'm looking into right now is in terms of what games can we run servers on where we can have monitor mode to watch the action, switch around from different perspectives, so we could do some fun stuff in terms of the production, at least as far as involving people remotely. Involving people locally, I think it's pretty open.
Well, yeah.
I mean, honestly, I just like the idea. I would open it to, as far as locally what we could do, I would totally take suggestions of what would be, just what people would want to see, what would be the most fun. Maybe even start getting to stuff like Connect, and then even opening up stuff. I mean, God, I don't know. I think it'd be fun to watch people play DDR, and just have
Connect and DDR, good video.
DDR dance off, I think that would be wildly entertaining.
Friday night dance party.
Yeah, exactly.
I as far as the cheats and tips, because of the amount of work that goes into really producing those well, I'd say Chat Realm, are you up for contributing those?
Yeah.
If you folks send us YouTube links to videos of you showing off a cheat or a tip, we'll feature them. I mean, I think that would be the best way to handle that.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, I think the thing is, if you're looking for cheats and tips, I mean, everyone knows about GameFAQs. I mean, it's not like it used to be where it was, passed along between the friends and, from secondhand knowledge gleaned from Nintendo Power about the Justin Bailey code.
Actually, the chat room is kind of negative. They're like, no, we don't want cheats and tips.
Yeah.
That's 1980s.
So I think people can get that.
Yeah.
I mean, from a statistical perspective, it's sort of, I mean, the odds of you happening to get the right message to the right person who hadn't already found it on GameFAQs are so small. I mean, that time has passed. I would not go that way at all.
How about Kill of the Week?
Yeah, Kill Shot of the Week, I think, is just fantastic to have people submitting stuff for that.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about cheats and tips. Just send us your best moment.
Or your best fail.
Yeah, or your best fail if it's you being killed, yeah.
But
fail of the week is pretty good.
I wouldn't even, I mean, I think it's fine to have categories for that kind of thing, but one of the greatest experience I had in all of playing City of Heroes and City of Villains was I played a mastermind, and using the macro keys, I created minions that would actually act out scenes from movies. And then I went to the middle of the highest, most where all the rich people were, who were at level 60 already, and I would have them act out scenes from Star Trek II Wrath of Khan or Pulp Fiction or whatever, and then everyone would sit down and they'd beg, and then they'd give me cash for it. I mean, it's like, I wouldn't even, I'm not even comfortable limiting it to the best kill of the week or best fail of the week or whatever, just like, scene of the week or hack of the week or best.
Well, yeah, we could actually just make it of the week, and
we'll
people
just call
send
it
us
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
It can be fail of the week, glitch of the week, kill shot of the week, and we could just
I just want the sound effect.
We could change
Kill
the
of
name.
week,
Yeah.
But no, I think that's good. I mean, one thing I want to do long term when we have more resources on the production side of it is I like the idea of actually opening up the review idea and doing something that I would like to call like the review pit, and having listeners that play the game submit a little video, their own little review, and then we could edit them all together and sort of, do a nice little crowdsourcing bit of audience involvement of getting sort of, the idea of people talking passionately what they thought about, a popular game release. I think that's something like long term we could do even to encourage more user generated content.
So user reviews, essentially. Yeah. People seem to like that.
And I think, there was a show on cable that an actress I used to work with hosted the show Movie Mob. And it was kind of like that. It was all webcam reviews of popular movies. And they would just cut it together in a 30-minute show of just people submitting their reviews. I think for video games especially, because people are so passionate about that, I think that's a really interesting way we could incorporate more user content.
Yeah, as long as you keep limits on the length of reviews. I'm saying production-wise, you could be really stuck with
that's what I'm saying, long term. Long term, when we have more production side to sit down and go through and cut it together.
But I mean, first of all, Iyaz is 100% right. Keep it short. But I tell you, if the stuff I'm seeing that's coming out of the fan base of Frame Rate is any indication, we have reached a level of technical savviness where we could reliably depend on getting 3 to 4, if we asked for it, 3 to 4 very tight 30-second reviews with good production quality that we could throw in there and mix all. I mean, that could be a section of the show week after week, because people love to create, high quality productions, and they love to see their face on TWiT. So I mean,
and if people do that, I'm totally committed to showcasing it.
They could build like I don't want to say it this way, but like a database of people that you like, that these guys are trusted sources and they always have good quality stuff. So you're always like, okay, what did this person say? Yeah,
I mean, we really want participation. I think that's the main thing that than anything is that we really want this to be a show that people feel, that there's a community around, and that people. What's that?
What do you think about the idea of individuals on the show being very, because again, Leo was 100% right when he said gaming is very, very fractious. So why not let the people on the show be very opinionated? Oh, I love Xbox, I hate PS3. Oh, I love this, I hate that. But the show itself, its voice, the main thing it does is tell the overall narrative, Rotten Tomatoes style, where it's like, well, well, that may be your opinion, Brian, but guess what?
No, Brian, absolutely not. I think that's a horrible idea, but I will submit to the will of this entire group on this point.
Well, I mean, I think it's fine. I think it's fine for the overall, like the narrative of the show to be focused on what the overall scene is.
I think that's a stupid idea. I hate it. But if the overall narrative of this brainstorm says that we should do it, I will submit to it.
I mean, you could have some really angry
I think
people.
that's good. I don't know.
I'm just trying to be passionate.
Passionate, angry, and disagreeable. There you go.
No, wait.
That makes a great show.
Wait, huh?
It's good to
No,
watch that.
I kid, but yes, I think.
So 1 week you have like a PS3 badge. Next week,
I think I know where you're going with that, which is like, you need to have passion. You need to have real, like, everybody sees through the hosts that don't like what they're talking about.
Yeah.
SB Nation approach.
You know?
That's what
Yeah.
we're talking about, the Oakland A's thing.
Totally.
Actually doing it by a fan point of view.
No, I had this idea once. I mean, similar to the idea of, like I was talking about, with the review pit, but the idea of having like almost characters, come across. And that's what would be great is if we had people regularly contributing. Then, like, and I remember, like, and the idea would be like we could almost, have people like named like Nintendo fanboy. And it was like, because it describes their point of view perfectly. So it's the idea of having really passionate people coming at it from these angles that
Or
are just going to argue
you
it.
could have an instant poll.
Yeah.
What is this person? Nintendo
I don't
fanboy?
think we should do it this way, but just for the thought experiment of it, what if we had a representative for every constituency?
Yeah.
So we had a PC gamer, a Nintendo fanboy, a PS3, and an Xbox person, and then a moderator.
Yeah.
It's a huge cast. That's why I don't think it works.
And the other problem is those are the council members who would come with today.
Yeah.
But 6 months from now, it may be different. Like,
Well, we have to
where's
do
the local
redistricting.
representative? Huzzah! Where's the android, sir? And then so it's that's why you want to focus on. I mean, you want to cover.
I yield to the representative from OnLive.
That's right. That's right. Right. So, and the reason that people come to gaming are for so many different reasons. But if you have a passionate, exciting personality associated with it, then you don't care about balance so much because you're glad that person's there, not that category is represented.
That one super Engage guy who's still there. Like, Engage is going to come back.
I talk on my phone sideways.
Dreamcast.
And
Dreamcast.
Gizmondo.
Saturn.
What about emulators and stuff? You guys going to talk about that at all?
I think retro
gaming
gaming.
stuff.
Yeah, retro
Retros.
gaming, emulators, all of that stuff. I think that should be a segment.
Yeah, definitely.
And this week in pinball?
I think in terms of the multiplayer
Long,
stuff, no, like I was saying with Bomberman, I would love to have old school games and just, I mean, because for me, that's the most fun I have with my friends is just when pulling out old systems and just playing random old stuff, especially when it's a multiplayer game.
That would be a fun thing to have a character
Yeah.
do. And like, we could do a pre-tape thing with some, the retro gamer, some guy with a big old gray beard, and then we all kind of discuss it afterwards.
Or better, it's like the time travel. So it's like,
Yes.
it's 1994. What's new in video games? The 3DO is coming out soon, man.
it's
It's going to
rad.
be awesome. It's a
You
multiplayer.
get dressed in like
Yeah.
some flannel and
I can play my CD plus G's on this
I got
and then
my
rock
Nirvana.
Way the Warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have a 3DO somewhere.
I knew.
So
I knew
what
some
if
guys
you
who were
had
good
like
3D.
4 big segments? You had console as your blockbusters. You had PC and indie as your quirky tier, or quirky / hardcore. Because PC, indie, and MMOs in its own category, and then or I guess you'd put mobile in there as well. And then you had retro as a category, but then you had one like kind of a wild card where every episode there was some kind of face off, like game show style, between the hosts or between volunteers who submitted stuff in, or some kind of electric, like, oh man, I wish you were there now at this moment to see this happen.
I like this. I like this wild card, and I think a face-off is just one of the things. You could throw anything in there, right? But I like the sort of boxing ring mentality, prize fight, like they do on CNET with the gadgets, and you have people taking the sides of various things. There's enough oppositions, right? We could.
Yeah. Oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This is so easy. All you do is it's like okay. So for the face-off segment, at the very least, it could be if there happens to be a game that's new and out that we're all excited about. Then we finally face off, Glenn versus Tom, and we give a recap on how it went. But at the very least, even if nothing new is out there, then it's all like oh yeah, well, who knows the most about retro games? And then two people act as hosts and the other two players, they face off, and there's some kind of stakes over, one person has to tweet out that they're a big fat dumbhead if they lose or whatever. And I mean, this would be the easiest part of the whole thing to program.
All arguments are settled by playing GoldenEye. That's
and I would lose every argument.
Absolutely.
Somebody in the chat room is mentioning that they're afraid that some of these ideas in the chat room that they're saying are at least flying back and forth too fast. So I'm going to give it out now. I set up a Gmail account for twitgameshow@gmail.com. If anyone has any ideas that we're not seeing or paying attention to as they scroll by in the chat.
Right.
here.
If you don't feel like you can be heard right now, because things are going pretty fast and furious.
Yeah, which is great.
Fast
by the way.
five, even.
good to have all these
I
ideas.
love that people are so passionate about this and so many people have different ideas. And I love people are saying, I hate the fanboy concept. But or I love the fanboy concept. Which is great that people are all over the place with it, because I think we're going to get some good stuff out of this. And yes, that's correct as it's typed out in there.
Okay. I've got a rough lineup I'm going to run by you guys and tell me what you think of this. We open with quick news, kind of like what TNT does with News Fuse.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, this is the stuff that's happening. This is the essentials. Then we go into the analysis, and it's sort of like Frame Rate's big news of the week and the console and the PC indie. And then we go into segments, and our segments are retro, the wild card, face-off idea, a developer interview or an interview with someone in the gaming industry, possibly. Then the ... of the week and a user review wraps us up.
When you want that thing of the week at the end?
Yeah, that one goes right at the end. Huh?
Yeah, but I mean, that sounds. I mean, that actually.
That's more of the.
That is a Sports
comic
Center
relief.
kind of. Lineup.
Now, keep in mind, I'm a hardcore PC gamer to the end, but you wouldn't have a section just for the big three battle over in console land, because even though I don't play consoles nearly as much as I play PC gaming, that's definitely where the audience of the money is.
I think outside of the holiday season, I think that I don't know. I mean, I feel like isn't each week going to kind of dictate it based on kind of what's the big release that week? I mean, because I'm sure there are some weeks where there'll be something PC and not console.
I mean, it can be covered in the console segment when it comes up.
I guess I didn't hear a console segment. I must have missed that when you were running down the.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Before, so in the analysis area, it's console and then PC/indie.
But I love the idea. I love the idea of focusing a bit on indie games, and especially stuff that people can get for free legally that's out there that they can play right away. I think those recommendations are just great, and I definitely like the idea of throwing some love towards PC gaming.
So the idea with the analysis is that's where we have it basically taking the frame rate model and flipping it on its head a little bit, where we have the big stories secondary. We start off with the quick boom boom booms.
The
quick boom boom booms is an industry word, by the way.
Especially with video games, I think it's a good idea to give the short and sweets right up front.
Yeah.
Somebody saying command line games. There we go.
Address bar games. We'll have a segment entirely.
All the games you can play in Excel.
All the games you can play in your Chrome address bar.
And this week in TI-82.
This week in Snake.
And then speaking of
still on Nokia.
In terms of going to show names, we talked about it a bit in terms of figuring out what we're going to call this thing. If
right, yeah.
anyone has ideas, I think tentatively Tom and Leo and I had said at the controls.
Because you own that
Because
name.
I own the domain.
So that's easy.
Yeah. I mean, I also own PCXL, but I think, that's probably
that sounds like an overclocking.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think
you talk about
that'll be the spin-off. When we do a spin-off of PC-only games, I think PCXL. Probably for that, but
or just really big PCs.
Yes, exactly.
The world's largest PC at PCXL.
Yeah, but if anyone has any ideas,
I like at the controls, not just because you own it already, but it seems to fit.
Well, I mean, I came up with it in 1990
sounds like a
for my
piloting
first
thing.
For my first video game column, and that was just literally it was like at the movies, at the controls.
Right.
Bam.
What do you think of that, Brian?
I mean, it's fine. For some reason, the scope of it just seems smaller. I would prefer if the theme of the show was to be above the fray and telling the story of what's happening way down there from a bird's eye view, then something like, more like Command Center or something that alluded to video gaming and didn't sound something that had a grander scope than I'm Alone on a Friday Night.
Don't call it that. Alone on a Friday Night.
Do you
have Twitter? Are you
No, okay, Twitter is the only one. So I got YouTube. I got the .com. For Twitter, I've got @_.
Can you get the controls? So
some other guy got that. I got the _ controls.
Okay.
But Leo had mentioned that.
Command and controller.
But no, I mean, I've been looking into just sort of other names. Problem is, there's been so many other things, and of course, like when trying to come up with anything new, everything seems taken.
I'll tell you what should have been the name, and I unfortunately it's already been taken. But I loved Game Theory, which was a podcast that was unfortunately short-lived, where they talked about MPD numbers and where games were headed. Again, a lot of the theory of game, but of course, even though that podcast is now defunct, I don't know that that doesn't make the name available, unfortunately.
How about? Let's see. Hold on.
Let's see. Hold on.
That's
pretty good.
What do you think?
Let's see. Hold on.
Let's see. Hold on.
Sounds like a Japanese game show where they just kind of hang you there. I don't know.
How about Game of Thrones release date? GameStop.
GameStop. No, you want to actually play games. Why would you want to stop them? And it's already a store.
Agent of Awful selected Game Rate.
Game Rate.
Game Rate.
What?
That could be the segment when they're rating the games. Yeah. Game Rate.
Well, then we got All About Games was another.
Will they play Crisis? That's funny. That'd be a good PC.
This Week in Video Games, obviously. Command Center. Kill Shot.
Game Start.
What about like Bring It with an exclamation point or?
It has been brought.
Indeed it has, Tom. Indeed it has.
You got to go to name check or something to see if the URL is available.
Yeah,
Twitter
exactly.
name, blah blah.
Twit bagging. Numb
I like
Num
Respawn.
Num. Respawn, I think, is already a thing. A game. A podcast.
Let's just call it the final score and piss off Scott Johnson.
Just call it Frog Pants.
Call it Frog Pants.
Just call it Frog Pants. There's no reason for it.
We'll call it the instance.
You can just make up a word entirely.
Yeah.
Well, why not?
Smorg.
I mean, it's definitely just something we can keep in mind and keep kicking around.
Yeah.
The biggest LAN party
not the most,
in the world.
We are not expecting to decide on that right now. We're just looking for ideas.
But for the time being, because someone had asked again, twitgameshow@gmail.com is the email address. If you want to send in any
final
ideas.
instance.
Yeah. In fact, let me check. We already have some emails.
Rec Center is not bad.
We could call it up, down, down, left, right, left, right.
Parks
PA.
and Rec Center.
Start.
Pac-Man and more. Live nude gaming.
What about You Lose? Continue?
Level up.
Already got some great emails from people, and I want to thank them for sending them in already. I'm going to...
Pwn to own. I think that's taken.
What about own to pwn?
This Week in Ding. How about Grats?
How about game revolution, like Dance Revolution?
No.
Game
on, dude.
Games you derp.
Rated A for awesome. I hope that's a rated K reference.
I couldn't get a date is somebody's suggestion. That is not my suggestion.
Old guy gaming.
It's just like an old man playing a game.
Toad trousers. It's not Frog Pants.
When do they? When does the final score? When do they do their live record? Is theirs Friday? Also Friday? Yeah. So is Giant Bomb.
Yeah. It's like early. It was like an hour ago.
We'll turn that around. We'll call it Go Inside instead of Go Outside. That's the game. Go inside. Play a game.
All your base.
Do you have IRC open on there, Tom?
Yeah.
Are you logging the chat? Because I'm not. I've got it on my phone.
Oh, I am
sure
not
not
logging. I do not log.
I might be.
Oh, cool. You could just send that just when we're all.
We can just tell everybody just to rewrite everything they said.
I generally don't log anything, just in case. No pants gaming.
Well, that's interesting. So, Obsidian Offing.
I like Falcon Punch. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It just strikes me right.
Yes. In fact, actually, all the best brand names start off as nonsense that you hate. I think of Amazon.com.
Wait,
These are that
ESPN.
No, maybe we should do the thing.
in fact, I'm already straight up Falcon Punch. That's where I'm at.
On NSFW, we did the thing where you had each of us had a syllable and we hold it up, and that'll be the name. Right, exactly. Just do that again.
This is something that might work sort of. We talked about with the retro thing. Obsidian Offing sent an email saying, what do we think about having weeks where we do a breakdown of some games by genre? Sort of doing a spotlight on a different genre, whether it's like horror or FPS, action, adventure.
Yeah.
I think maybe in terms of theming the retro segment about that, like talking about, this week, L.A. Noire came out. Here are other, games that we think are very cinematic or, sandbox.
Or even the user reviews.
Yeah.
Could be done. Yeah, we could theme the user review and the retro game together. And like this week we're focusing on horror.
Yeah. No, I think that would be cool to definitely sort of tap into that. And I mean, I love talking about retro games. I love talking about, especially things in a certain genre. I think that's where some of the most interesting discussions are.
Sprained Thumbs. That's a good name. I like that one.
And Falcon Punch actually has it has a video game root.
Yes.
So I like it.
Falcon, I would love to see that in the list on the left on the site. This Week in Tech and then there's Falcon Punch.
Oh,
what's this
somebody's
thing?
Squatting on the URL.
John Mendenhall suggested that when two hosts argue over something for more than 2 minutes, they are forced to play a retro game to break the argument. So, we'll settle our differences that way.
In pro wrestling.
That's actually pretty funny. I like that.
They're going to be short games, though.
Yeah.
We will settle this with a game of Snake.
That could go on forever, though.
That's true.
You need something like something with a timer.
You need to be short.
Like it's either got to be like Street Fighter.
Combat.
Yeah.
Street Fighter 2.
Street Fighter 2.
I mean, what do people think in terms of the competitive aspect? I mean, I would actually toss it out to the chat room in terms of what they think are some good games. I mean, obviously, people in the chat room probably are on computers, so it would seem like in terms of
I'm guessing
that
there's a chance.
I don't know. I'm monitoring the chat room on my iPhone, so it is possible.
Sure.
But in terms of what people think in terms of games, as far as the second segment, what games would they like to see in terms of the multiplayer? I mean, do we want to go with stuff that's newer? Do we want to go stuff that's older so people can get it legally and cheaply? Maybe even tying in something like this games available on Steam, or something that's more open. I mean, one game that I'm actually a huge fan of is GL Tron, that just has the 3D Tron light cycle. It's a free game.
Oh my gosh, you're talking about the light cycle game that's all in 3D? Yeah, dude, I forgot all about that one.
Dude, wouldn't that be awesome to get 64 players at once going on a server with that? Just last man standing?
Theoretically, yes. I don't know from a practical
See, what would be awesome is if we could get a sponsor
to
come in and handle the capacity.
Yeah.
And then, like let's say Steam sponsored, and we just use Steam, and they give us a server.
Yeah. Or even, I was thinking about, I know it's not super popular, but for some reason what sprung to mind was with OnLive. I mean, OnLive has the ability to monitor and go in and look at different stuff easily. I mean, I have one of the OnLive console boxes. They're very cheap.
I have OnLive on my my Mac.
Yeah, I've got one of the dedicated ones. My only
so here's the big question is how much of the show should be as a percentage, how much of the show should be reporting on content that's out there? In other words, news and developments and NPD numbers and PSN information being hacked, and how much of it should be new creation material, like who's going to win, Glenn versus Tom in this battle of GL Tron?
I think 60-40, 60 news, 40 creation.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds, and there might be some news that's worth discussing. I think a little more in depth here and again, but when it's a week when it's sales numbers and just straight headlines, then I think
although I mean to me some of that overlaps, right? If you if you do some kind of creative face off thing, that to me is part of the news. If you're asking how much percentage is just the quick news and how much is the rest of it, then I'm thinking 20-80.
Abraham Lincoln.
Brian.
No, I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I was kicking it over to you guys.
Abraham Lincoln?
Did you ever hear that? That's the
Just now.
back in college, somebody said like every time the conversation just stops.
Oh yes, you've told me this before. Actually,
Lincoln.
Yeah.
So every time the conversation,
You asked the question and then I gave the answer, and I was waiting for you to contradict me because that's what we do in frame rate.
I actually I don't have I don't have a dog in the fight, but yeah, I mean it's like
Get a dog
Okay, I'll go. It's a golden retriever, sir. Thank you.
against a pit bull. That's not fair. Hey, the golden retriever won. Look at that. So, yeah, I mean, I think it should be mostly creative stuff, but then 60% news stuff and 40% fun stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think, the news varies so much. And I think it also depends on some of the guest bookings in terms of whether it's something that's more discussion oriented. I mean, I don't know. I think that in the initial outing, I mean, it's gonna vary a lot by kind of what's going on. I mean, I know obviously when you have something like Portal 2, we could spend hours.
We could blow out
just
the
talking
lineup
about that
because it's it's the Portal 2 special.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that there's situations like that. But aside from that, I think that with the news, we're saying like a 60-40 in terms of that before they go into more discussion and the fun stuff leading into the second hour, which will be LAN party. Or,
gentlemen, hold on.
Yes.
This just in. Special report. I've just been handed this. The question that I've been asked is, would we review hardware like video cards? And I should point out that this comes from my wife.
Well, Bonnie, I would like to say, no, we wouldn't review hardware like video cards because we don't have a lab set up for that. But would we discuss that? Absolutely. I think that would be key to our news section, which is, the new NVIDIA cards are out, the new Radeons are out.
I do the show on the side that would cover the stuff pretty well. I could just bring it here.
What? What's your
This is a show I do with hothardware.com.
Oh.
And they actually do review video cards often.
Well, there you go. Well, so does Twitch.
Yeah, and that's what people are pointing out in the chat room.
Yeah.
That, So I think it would make sense, but I think that's definitely not the primary
I think we would do
focus.
video cards the way TNT does it. Which is, we acknowledge they're out there. Probably a little more so than TNT, though, because that would have an effect on what we're talking about. So it could become, it could be one of those face-offs is NVIDIA versus Radeon, something like that.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. And I think especially in terms of talking about sort of, I don't know, I mean, I'm a fan of talking about recommendations in terms of if there's something new and good and affordable that's out there that will make the PC gaming experience better, by all means. I mean, because that stuff is, cyclical in the sense that it does need to be refreshed.
Does that answer Bonnie's question?
Apparently, because she left the moment she gave the question. Apparently, an answer. She just had a question and left. Now she's back in. Hold on. Wait a minute. Gentlemen, I'm sorry. I've just been handed this. Special report. The new question just arriving here on the scene. Yes, but what about free stuff? Come on!
Well, of course there'll be free stuff.
Yeah.
What's a video game show without free stuff?
No, definitely. I think both in terms of the competitive aspect and in terms of listener participation, I think whatever we can get, by all means.
Whatever Bonnie wants to give us, we'll give away.
That's right. Bonnie says she will make you a macrame T-shirt, and you have to review it.
We will totally give that away. Are you kidding me? That'd be awesome.
They want beta codes.
Macrame Super Mario T-shirt.
Awesome. Bonnie says, I'm watching downstairs as if I can't intuit. That's why she's coming up and asking questions relevant to what we're talking about. Thank you, sweetheart. I love you.
Invisible
Sorry
wife.
about that.
The question could be completely unrelated. Why are your shoes in the other room?
What do you want for dinner?
No. You're like, I'm like, special report. Gentlemen, this just in. What do you want for dinner?
Should I pick up sweet rolls?
Oh, this is funny. So somebody had said that like when they hear TWiT game show, they think, what about like an actual game show? That's one of those things I've been meaning to
Wait, that's what I've done.
pitch.
Whoa, that's what I suggested early on. Is a face-off between everyone.
Oh no, I think there should be a show with like Tom or Leo as host, and we randomly dial people via Skype and then ask them questions.
I think that's
and
called
they can win
NSFW
stuff.
show.
Yeah,
that is awfully close to what we do.
yeah. People can win cash and prizes.
But seriously, like from a hardware perspective, I always thought it would be awesome to have. I'm surprised that on the internet, and I know that there have been some people who have tried to do this, but I have not seen anything that's caught fire. That is a nationwide game show that just about everybody can participate in. Like imagine if you asked a series of 35 Google proof questions, and like that's enough to where the odds of thousands and thousands of people all getting 35 of those right are very, very small. So it's like, I don't know. I always thought it would be a cool, like, worldwide tournament where if you get 35 of them right in a row, then you win, you know, $1,000 or some stuff.
Sounds like an administrative nightmare. You have to check every single question to see if Google's got it or not. I'm talking about the actual production on this. It could be a
Speaking as a production associate producer, Iyaz says that sounds like a lot of work.
yeah, a lot of like how do we phrase the question so they don't figure it out? We'll just put it out in wingdings. Okay, you got to convert it, and then maybe it'll make sense.
I think that the focus of the news section of the show is, and this reiterates what Brian was saying earlier, is, you know, new video cards are out, industry stats, this is who's leading, EA is now saying they're going to shift their focus into digital games, and, you know,
Mass Effect 3 is delayed.
Yeah, Mass Effect 3 is delayed. You know, Duke Nukem Forever puts up a funny video. all of that stuff, and less about what less about just, you know, what fun games are we playing right now. But what does the chat realm think of that? I mean, we would still have, like we said, we would have user reviews. We'd have this face-off idea where we could debate stuff and there'd be some analysis. But we want to, I think, to distinguish ourselves, we focus on video gaming as an industry and how that affects you as a player versus, you know, focusing on, you know, we're all just players.
And title.
Now, wait a minute. What about that for the name of the show?
We're all just players.
What about just player, like the band that sang Baby Come Back? Player.
Any kind of fool could see that's the name of this show.
We're all just players.
I'm reading the chat room.
Yeah. Which
there
makes
are
for
plenty of industry-focused podcasts already out there.
Not on this network.
Yes, you can interact, Sybil, absolutely.
Wait a minute.
Oh.
What about this for the name of the podcast? Just like GG. Like good game, like you do at the end of every round of everything you've ever played. You put
KK.
GG, right?
GG, KK.
Or AFK. You can do AFK.
Actually, wouldn't you be at the keyboard?
ATK.
Yeah, at the keyboard.
You wouldn't be.
At the, yeah.
That would be the PC spinoff.
How you
at the controls at the keyboard.
How you actually sign off? AFK.
TTFN. BBL.
Games on games.
BR,
GOG.
BRB.
Somebody says GG sounds like a stripper, which I don't know that that's necessarily what I was going for.
Or Gilmore Girls or GG Allen.
Gidget.
I like Rage Quit as well. That's
Rage
a great one. If you want to play up like the hot-headedness and get like good lively debate going on, then Rage Quit would be amazing.
Ready Check. It's interesting. That's very MMO though. /ready. Dev Null is the name of a character from the site.
Yeah.
We can't use that.
Oh, the site. That takes me back.
On MSNBC with Soledad O'Brien and some guy who voiced the.
I think we got a picture of the character in the cabinet there somewhere.
Yeah.
I like Lincoln Punch. I'm not sure why.
Just cause it's awesome.
And again, for anyone that's wants to send us an email, twitgameshow@gmail.com. If you have ideas that we are not catching as they scroll by so fast in the chat room. Oh. Twit Arcade's not bad.
What about Fragtacular?
Fragtacular.
These sound like great segment names, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of good segment names.
Twit Arcade sounds like fun for the retro, if you're going to actually do arcade games.
Reminds me of Nick Arcade.
Flaming Gaming.
I think that's a different show.
A little bit.
Little.
Not sure that's the show we're doing.
Frag Rate.
Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
Pixel Punch.
How about we just do a show on gaming piracy and call it the Arcade?
What if every show you just brainstorm for the show? You just never actually do the show.
That may be what we end up doing.
It's like, what should we talk about today? No. Not
Well,
that.
that's the question, right? So
Well, I like the idea of hearing gaming news in the beginning, and like then it actually moves ahead. So then, if people don't want to watch the gaming part, they can watch the news.
Well,
if
I
they want to
think
watch the
that's the
gaming
idea.
part, they can do that. Like there's parts that you could watch.
Yeah.
I think the second hour, the land stuff, that's going to be very live focused. I don't think. I mean, we're going to distribute that even as part of the podcast.
Probably
I think that's
not.
going to be a live
Right.
only incentive to have people involved. So I think the idea of really having. Somebody's sending email saying, "Who's the new guy? Who's this guy here?" I'm Glenn Rubenstein.
we never introduced you, did we?
I think
I'm
we
sorry.
did at the beginning. Someone's asking. I'm Glenn Rubenstein. I've started covering video games in 1990 at the young age of 14, and worked at GameSpot, Game Center, written for Wired, Sports Illustrated for Kids, X-Play, and a bunch of other people. And in the last couple years, I've taken a break from gaming journalism, and so this is kind of my return to that after a couple years directing and producing online video.
That was succinct.
Yes.
Very nice.
Well, you get
Are
used
you
to it
happy,
after a while.
Hartwell?
People, who are you and what have you done?
Yeah,
I get that.
I'm used to that too.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to tweet at me with ideas, I'll definitely be paying attention during the week. I'm on Twitter with my name, Glenn Rubenstein. It's right there on the screen.
I think the idea would, the timing of the show would be now.
Yeah.
What we're doing right now would be about
Right,
when
next
we would
week
do
they
it.
time travel to today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But the time slot, I
away.
think that's what we're talking about, is that I think maybe for the first week or two, maybe doing it on a Sunday after.
yeah, we might launch it right after TWiT, just so
yeah.
we get the lead in.
So for the servers, I mean, how are you going to test this to make sure it doesn't like everything blows up?
Yes.
Like, I mean, what day is a good day to test that kind of stuff?
oh God, we're not even there yet.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, we're looking for a launch with the new studio.
Okay.
So,
So a while from now.
I think we're going to
Yeah.
keep doing this.
yeah. In the interim.
Maybe not every week, but every couple weeks.
Yeah.
We'll just kind of refine things. Maybe do some test shows like we did with Frame Rate.
Yeah, that was a fantastic thing with Frame Rate, is doing the
Yeah,
alphas. I mean, I was shocked at how many people just watched the alphas and said how much, well, I can't wait for this to be a real show. So definitely a soft launch, I think, is a great idea.
Well, and it really helped us figure out what stuff didn't work and what order it worked in. So, yeah, when are you ready to do another one of these, do you think?
Whenever, man. Next Friday, I'm good.
Want to do it next Friday?
Yeah, we could do that. And next Friday, we
let
could
me
put
make
together
sure.
some specific discussion stuff, maybe to start sort of. So yeah, because I know you're going away.
Yeah, but I'm here next Friday, so
Yeah.
let's do that.
Well, I know the next big game release worth talking about would be probably L.A. Noire coming out, but that's not coming out till mid-month, probably for when you're back.
Yeah. Do you guys like this chat room? Do you dig the?
I like throwing controllers.
I don't like that he's spamming it.
Yeah, but it is seen, sir, and it is noted.
we have seen your name.
Actually, I just saw the title. I didn't see his name.
Whose tech is this anyway?
Oh, and then someone mentioned something about E3, and yeah, I mean, there will be E3 coverage. I know.
Yeah, you're going to be there, right?
I'm going to be there. Brian, you're going to be there.
Yep.
Are you going to steal Nintendo's new console?
Well, it's very
Oh,
hard
yeah.
to lift things off the Actually, didn't that happen one year? One year, I think
Somebody
somebody
tried to do that with the 3D, not 3DS. It was 3DS actually, because they were
Yeah.
were actually chained to people though that time.
There've been like a few limited instances of actual successful theft off the show floor at E3. I am not bold enough to ever try such a thing.
I think
Yet.
if you get those
Yes.
nice behind the scenes kinds of things where you saw the Xbox running on a Mac Pro,
Yeah.
Power Mac actually then,
Yeah.
because they were using the cell processor. It's interesting stuff to see that.
The behind the scenes stuff, I'm glad
the
that
cell,
I'm glad that they
PowerPC.
don't do that as much at E3 in recent years, because a lot of that stuff ends up being vapor or ends up just being barely concept. I remember the one I told the story before, I guess on Current Geek, but or on Forecast about Sega VR, about the behind the scenes experience of Sega VR. When that was their big thing, like in '93 for the Genesis, like this terrible headset, and they had it running behind the scenes, and it was like a ViewMaster, but a ViewMaster on like two Game Gears strapped to your head.
And Sega had this too.
Sega, yeah,
So, I
this
mean, I
was
remember
Sega,
Nintendo's Virtual Boy.
this was pre that.
Oh,
This
man.
was like 92, 93.
Oh, I didn't know
It was
that.
Sega, and they ended up never saw the light of day because people realized that the games were terrible. And
Didn't they come up with the 32X? I mean, they came up with a lot of crap.
I've still got a 32X. I've still got a Sega CD. Sega
CDs where I got broken. I was like,
the downfall of Sega, I could do a weekly series on that would probably last about six
This
months.
Week in Sega.
Yeah, just
pour some out.
now let's go
For
back to
Sonic. No,
1990.
Sonic's still around.
Yeah, when Phantasy Star 3 was announced. Yeah.
Sega Rising.
But
Let's
I
take a
like
watch.
that stuff, and that's something I look forward to. I mean, we've talked about that also in terms of, I mean, I would love to do just a podcast just on retro technology and getting people involved to talk about like the failure of like the 3DO or the CDI. And I think we could see a little bit of that when we start
What
talking
about the
about
U-Force?
segments.
Remember that thing?
Yes, I had one of those, and I had a Power Glove.
I had a U-Force for about like a day, and I returned it for a Game Boy. I was
Yeah.
like, this is
That-
no good.
That was a wise upgrade.
Yeah, I was like, this is awesome.
But it'd be cooler now if you had the U-Force.
I guess so. I'd be like, yeah, check it out. Actually, if I turned the brightness down on my laptop, it kind of looks like that.
And I like the ability to balance the retro gaming segment with emulation stuff, because you can kind of make it more relevant.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
not always looking back and being nostalgic. You can
Yeah.
also kind of say, well, there's stuff you can do. You know, there's cool things people are doing with old games.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I think, I mean, I don't know, I'm actually amazed how much I still play stuff on emulators.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I played through first Super Mario Brothers again just a couple months ago, because
Nice.
you get
Have
that
you
urge
played
every so
that?
often.
What was it? Oh, the Portal Super Mario.
Oh no,
mashup?
no.
But that was real? I thought that was just a video.
No, you could play.
I know
It was
the
playable, wasn't it? Or am I?
I thought it was just a
freaking
video.
on
You-
Yeah,
acid?
it was various viral video. Yeah,
Was
I
it
didn't
just
think
a
that was-
video? Okay, I must
Yeah.
be.
You've played it in your mind.
Must be on shrooms. There was some playable Super Mario thing recently that was a mashup, but now I can't remember what it was.
Someone's saying, yeah, there was a portal for the 2600. Wasn't that like the C64 sort of portal that people had out there? That version?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I forgot about that.
I still need to play Portal 2 co-op. I haven't done that yet.
I'm playing tonight.
Really?
Yeah, me and Scott Johnson.
Yeah, oh, yeah, you mentioned that in the final score.
We're gonna hook up.
I had to buy. I
That's
bought
the one thing. Like when I sat in on the PC Gamer podcast, I was walking out. I was like, "Oh wow, what's that?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's our review for Portal 2. You probably shouldn't have seen that." And I immediately looked at the percentage, and then I was like, "Well, so what do you say about it?" And he's like, "Well, first of all, keep that quiet. Second of all, yeah, definitely choose the person that you play Portal 2 co-op with carefully, because you only have one magic experience of going through the game and solving the puzzles. After that, you will know the puzzles and it will never be the same again. So it's like, choose your date carefully. So like I got in touch with my old college roommate from like 1995, and the two of us have been playing through it. And I think actually he's got conflict, so I think my brother's coming in today, and we're going to finish playing through Portal 2 co-op today.
People are asking about playing co-op on Steam with me. Once we're set up with this, I'm gonna have some new accounts. Basically, during the week, I'm gonna be available at least to do co-op on Live, PSN, Steam, all of that. In fact, I had to buy another copy of Portal 2 for the Xbox because I bought for the PlayStation 3.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
Yeah, that was my first, because I was like, oh, this is great. I get that in the PC. I didn't get to activate the PC version.
Oh,
Yeah. So,
that's so bad.
got through the single player, but now, so I'm waiting for my 360 copy to show up so I can play the co-op. Then I will have Portal 2 across all platforms.
All right, you could play it.
Yeah.
Is there any differences? The color shading's a little different here.
Yeah. Oh, so far, I mean, I've just been having the best time with that game, which is funny too, because Mortal Kombat held my attention, I think, for all of 2 days, and then just was right on to Portal 2.
I'm quick to take the what out of geeks? Kingy? Very bizarre phrase.
You are the one who takes the stuff out of geeks. What did he say?
Abraham Lincoln.
Take the mick out of geeks?
Oh, the mick. Take the mick out of somebody. That's like kind of cutting him down to size.
Okay, and the
Take the
saying's
mick.
from...
It's, I don't know.
Is it an
Probably
older
some
saying?
Irish slang.
Okay. No, I wouldn't think Irish would use that phrase then.
Take the mick out of him.
Right, I thought that was a slam on.
Yeah,
That's why.
exactly.
Oh, and I mentioned it on previous appearances, but once PSN's back up, if anyone wants to play DC Universe Online with me,
If it's ever back up.
if it's ever back, man, since I've had some
8
time
people
away
left.
from that game, like, I feel like I was in an abusive relationship. And now, after having some time away from it, I see what an abusive relationship it was, where it's like the game came out, voice chat was messed up, it wasn't working. February update with Valentine's Day content came out 2 weeks after Valentine's Day. March update with St. Patrick's Day content came out in April, and I kept playing. I probably spent way too much time on that game. And then finally, after going down, now do I realize, like, man, just it wasn't healthy. something about that.
It's for the greater good.
Yeah.
That the network is down, and you can realize that you didn't like this. Are you going to get a free Batman mask?
Oh, yeah, I can't believe
Is that real, or is that just for the game?
It's for the game.
Damn.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and it's like, I think about how much time I've put into that game. I'm hoping the next update comes out as good, but I'm getting really bored with DC Universe Online.
I forgot to announce this earlier, but because I'm a little under the weather and Sarah Lane has been feeling sick, we've canceled our live coverage of the Gadget event tonight. So pass that along in the chat room if you're waiting to see the coverage of the Gadget event. Sadly, we won't be covering it live. We will have cameras there, and we'll have footage from there on All About Android and a few other shows, but just wanted to pass that along.
Not gonna lie, I totally love from the chat room. DJM says Rage Twit as a name for the
Rage Twit.
That's pretty funny.
That's pretty good.
It is good.
Another great segment, actually.
So, do you mind if I throw something out, an idea?
Yeah,
go for it.
yeah.
We mind.
I'm
really
your humble
prefer
board
if you
up,
didn't
but, you know,
speak, Alex,
Yeah.
most of the
You
time.
You can just turn all the mics off.
I don't know who you think you are, but
So something that I like in game-related shows is like developer interviews, but actually not like just talking to some marketing guy and stuff, but actually talking to like the designers or the sound guys,
Sure,
or the
yeah,
programmers,
the people who actually
and
do
talking to
stuff.
them like they're in their language and having them talk about what they do and like their passion and stuff that they've done that they like in their own way,
macrame.
and not just like I said, not like a marketing way, but
So not
just as-
dumbing it down. Just
not
like,
dumbing it down, having them like just go on about stuff that they are proud of, that they like to do, and
yeah.
and just to get like insight about that, and because I'm interested in game design and in development, and so I always like hearing these people talk about this stuff, and kind of gets me inspired, and how about that?
Yeah, I think that's
No, I think definitely.
absolutely
And
in
that
the
was back
plans.
to what we were talking about initially about the idea of like the third or fourth guest slot
Yeah,
in terms of involving that and getting, based on who we can get, having some really good conversations.
that's the key is who
Yeah.
we can get. And,
Yeah.
and like you say, not just getting product managers, but getting actual
Actual devs.
developers.
I,
yeah.
that'd be good.
I know there's one guy at Bungie that I could probably get.
There's one.
There's one that I'm sort of chums with, so I can
Cool.
always try
No, that's
that.
great.
No, and definitely. I mean, I love the idea. I think, the more different perspectives we have, and I think the dev perspective is definitely an interesting one to add to the mix in terms of the people that we talk to.
Yeah, because it's something that we don't do.
Yeah.
We don't make the games, and it's an
Yet.
important perspective.
The word yet.
Oh, and speaking of that, I do plan on at some point making a TWiT cottage level for some game for the LAN party, and also of the new place when
That would be awesome.
when I have time. I don't know when, but sometime.
I can't wait to be virtually killed at my desk.
Well, I'm getting a message. I know a guy who does game trailers at Blur. So we got another person.
That's cool. But no, I mean, I love the idea, man, the LAN party idea. I love the idea, especially of setting it up with some really diverse game. I mean, I don't know. I still love playing Call of Duty 2, especially with some of the custom maps that are available. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
To just have a lot of people going at it. But that Tron game is a great one because it's free, and very easy to set up and get a lot of people involved. And I think that's another thing. I mean, definitely recommendations from the listeners in the chat room. And just any ideas for games that, especially stuff that's easy to set up and fun with a lot of people. I mean, because we want to make that a weekly feature, sort of the after show, the after party.
I'm getting a few people saying, what about Mac? What about Mac? When we say PC gaming,
We mean Mac
We
as
mean
well.
personal computer gaming,
Yeah,
not,
can we
not
officially
Windows
declare
gaming.
that Macs are part of the PC Gamer Club? And I know you guys don't like the term PC, but you're in the club. Once Steam anointed Mac, you became honorary PC gamers. And to me, the difference between us and them, and I say us meaning PC gamers versus console gamers, is you guys use WASD and a mouse, and that makes you okay with me.
So WASD gamers versus console.
Versus thumbs. Thumbs are stupid. Thumbs are stupid, and they're the dumbest way. If you need auto aim help to shoot in your stupid 3D shooter, then you're console-y. You deserve to go to console land,
Oh.
while the badasses are all WASD in it with your mouse and your keyboard.
Oh, and this is awesome. Somebody already sent an email. Jesse Plata, gotta give props for being on top of the ball. He sent something to OnLive mentioning what we're working on, and OnLive passed along some contact info.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That they'd be interested in.
Actually, Brian Jacquet, who used to be at Slingbox and
Is
then
that
was at
Roku now?
Roku, is now at OnLive.
Oh, good. I know that guy.
Yeah.
It's a good guy. Good contact.
Abraham Lincoln.
I think we got some good notes, though.
Yeah, definitely. And so, do we want to do next Friday as sort of a?
What about how mature are the games going to get? Like, will you cover every single game? Or you're like,
Oh, yeah.
not that way. Tom.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Cue the R&B.
You mean like Duke Nukem?
Well, I mean, like, are you going to be going towards the center?
Are you talking about the LAN party or in the coverage?
Coverage.
In the coverage, I think it's just going to be, except for the retro game segment, I think it's going to be all new stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to be where the money's at, is where
Yeah.
the coverage is going to be.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, we wouldn't cover Left 4 Dead 1.
I'm not looking for reviews for Japanese dating sims.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were meaning.
I played through one of those once back at GameSpot.
How'd it go?
It was tough because there was barely any English in it, and but I was like a teenage vampire. This is back before vampires were cool again.
Right.
Yeah, but it was like a teenage vampire dating sim.
Well, there is that new internet kissing thing, so you could put that together.
You.
It was a kicker.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we're good.
Yeah. So do we want to do something next Friday?
Yeah, let's do this again next Friday at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Brian, you around?
Yes, I am actually.
All right.
That'd
I
be
am.
awesome.
Well, I have to sit here.
Right on.
I was doing it earlier. I mean, I can still do it.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to get hit in the head
Forget
with a
it.
bottle.
You're
or
not
something.
invited. Yes.
Yeah,
But-
sure.
In the meantime, again, people can email ideas, be it show name,
Shall we put that
format,
on the
coverage,
lower third? The
whatever.
the
Yeah,
email
we're gonna
address?
put that TWiT game
you
show.
should get this as the email address. Forget it. LOLW@gmail.
What is this? I don't even.com.
There we go.
TWitGameShow@gmail.com.
The email ideas and what you
Yeah, just-
liked or hated about what we talked about and what you guys put in the chat room. Be very helpful.
And yeah, so next Friday at 4. And in the meantime, if we can get if you have the log chat, if you could just email that to that, I will be painstakingly going through it and rereading everything that you all typed.
Assuming I have it, I'll have to check.
I just assume it's logging. You know, it's tracking me. I'm not developing any shows.
A live D&D show?
Just make sure you have like much larger lower thirds so nobody can see what's going on.
I can't see his health.
I feel like I'm on my old Packard Bell right now.
Could it handle that many enemies?
No. Actually couldn't. It's only a 48.6 DX.
So if you don't know, this is the most impossible level of all time with from Final Doom. And I don't know how this guy can do it.
You should have just said you were playing it right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is me.
Well, he's got a lot of med packs.
We used to, in my drafting class in high school, we had a computer land, and we used to occasionally play this level, like 4 of us trying to go through co-op instead of doing our work.
It doesn't. He seems to make it look pretty easy.
He does, but it's not.
Yeah. What does he shoot? Because nothing is hitting him. Maybe he's invulnerable.
No, his health's going down. It's just he keeps getting
you're right.
and soul spheres, megaspheres.
There's no cheat code involved.
Doesn't look like it. So you see, you just got a megasphere.
Yeah.
So
Or it's all just an animation. It's not actually the
It's an
gameplay.
edit. Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln.
Oh,
Yeah, and if anyone else has been slow going with Portal 2 co-op on the 360, feel free to email me your Xbox Live info, because this weekend, hopefully when my copy shows up, Portal 2 co-op.
this is gonna sound really dumb. This co-op thing, though, can you actually play if there's 2 people in the room?
Yeah,
do you have
they're
to do this
split
online?
screen. I think they're split screen, isn't
So the people who have PS3 should just pair up.
it? Yes. I've been trying to convince my brother just to hook up and play via System Link. Just
Oh yeah,
to
you
do
can just
it.
hook them up
Yeah.
directly.
Yeah, but
It's a mini LAN party.
Yeah,
Two
exactly.
PS3s and 2 TVs.
I know, and that's the thing because I loved just the single player mode on Portal 2, but everyone is saying that the co-op is hands down the best. So
I loved the single player, but
Yeah, the split screen. So yeah, I think
Did you
people should
finish
do
it, Tom? Did you finish single player?
I did. Yeah.
And
I
You're
loved
fine?
it. Yeah. I mean, I felt it was perfectly satisfying.
Very satisfying.
I didn't feel like, oh my God, this is better than the first, but I also wasn't disappointed in any way.
In any way?
It sounded like somebody else wanted to chime in. That's why I was being polite and waiting. But yeah, no, I totally. It was the same consistent level of awesomeness the entire way through as the first, but you got more of it. But what I'm surprised is that virtually nobody says it's better than the first, even though by all measures you got more time with the same level of awesomeness the whole way through.
But I felt like it was an extension of the first, not surpassing it. And I think that's because when I played it the first time, I'd never seen anything like it.
the
right?
sense of discovery was the best
I
thing
was like,
about the
this
first
is
one.
cool. What is this? Who is GLaDOS? And this time it was like, okay, I know these characters, and it's still awesome. But there was nothing over the top new. I mean, there is some discovery in the history, and I love that. I totally dug all that going back to the 50s and the 70s and everything. And I thought they did a great job with it. But it was still not entirely a new concept the way it was the first time through. And I think that's just a function of sequels.
Yeah. I mean, you can't get that initial sense of discovery ever again and being fully surprised. I mean, if I were to say anything, as a criticism to what you were saying about the end, I feel like the final boss battle was maybe a little too similar to the boss battle in the first.
Yeah.
I mean, that seemed very similar mechanic-wise. I mean, there were a
suppose
couple
that's true,
different
yeah.
things, but I mean, it was the same.
I also felt the mechanics of the game were easier.
Yeah.
There was less hand-eye coordination required. It was more puzzle
So you
oriented.
should play it drunk.
Now, was that a complaint from where you're standing?
No,
or-
that's from where I'm standing. That's awesome.
yeah.
I actually went back and started playing Portal.
Yeah,
after I finished
replayed it.
Portal 2 because I was waiting to play
I think
co-op.
actually, Ibo Robotsis23 nails it. He says Portal 1 is an awesome puzzle game with awesome story elements added. Portal 2 is an awesome story with awesome puzzle elements
yes.
added. Although I don't know. I question. I'm not gonna lie. I got totally frustrated with the puzzles because there were two things. At some point, it became hunt the pixel. Like, where's the one place in this whole stupid building that happens to have white paint splattered on it? Oh, right there. And then same thing for so many of the puzzles relied on you remembering. Oh yeah, that's right. You need a wall with a 45-degree angle to launch you out. So in fact, you can actually see how frustrated I got at JustinTV./
Yeah, right.
Justin.tv/ScamSchoolBrian because I played through the whole thing, and it was very frustrating, especially when everybody in the chat room knew the answer, but I wasn't reading them.
Do you have news about Abraham Lincoln?
Is he back? Is he a vampire hunter?
I have other news, but it's unrelated.
Oh,
Would you like to share?
Yeah, anything you need to share, Alex?
It is a letter from our CEO, Lisa Kensel.
Mm-hmm.
Dear Alex, we are pleased to offer you a full-time position of production/engineering assistant with TWiT LLC at an annual salary rate of $1 billion a year.
Right. Wait. How much?
I mean,
Well, it's on air, so that's real then.
that's
Congratulations, Alex.
Congrats.
thank you.
And
Ooh.
your first action should be to fire me.
Well, as a production/engineering assistant, I think that's my job.
Is well inside
Just
your
keep
purview.
firing me every week.
That's an old bit from Veronica.
Do I accept? Well, I haven't read the whole
I
thing.
see Lisa and my son is here.
Oh, hi. That's a little Akhtar.
Aldrin, right?
Aldrin, yep.
Aldrin, say hi to everybody.
Hey, Aldrin.
I kidnapped him.
That's fine.
Yeah, I understood I could
You
keep him
wanna-
for the weekend, but
You can or you can't.
I can't.
Sure. I want to go to San Francisco, so.
Well, are you gonna take the job? Is he gonna take the job?
going to take the job?
Should we ask Alex if he wants a real job?
Alex, do you accept?
No pressure on the air.
You could just sign in blood on the.
Yeah, you got a knife. You got a,
Yeah.
Well, I just use your blood
We
from
could
the other
Jammer
day,
B's knife. Yeah. I'll just open this back up again.
I don't know, John. What do you think? John says he thinks I should sleep
Jammer
on
B
it.
is like,
Yeah.
don't answer.
Don't seem too eager.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We need
Limited time.
We're gonna need some negotiations, and I got
gotta cross out
talk
some
to my
numbers.
lawyers.
Schwood, what do you
can be my
think?
lawyer.
Do you have any
I
advice?
can
for
be.
him?
Yes. The answer is yes, and always yes, of course. I mean, look, to be honest, all you need to do is walk through the new studios of TWiT in order to realize something electric's happening, and you definitely want to be a part of it. So,
Well, especially when the electrician is there.
that's true. Maybe, or you know what? And he was just randomly electrocuting me. Now that I think about it,
Yeah.
You know what? Say no. The answer is no. You don't have anything to do with the torture company.
But what
Yeah, I'm
company?
gonna
Torture.
rip this up right now and I'll just put it in the shredder.
Just toss that in the shredder.
Yeah.
I'll take
That's what I
that.
think of your offer.
Not
Hey,
enough.
Lisa.
Double it. We'll talk.
Just give you 2 pieces of paper. That's
All right.
font.
Anyway,
Anything else, Brian, Glenn?
No, I got
Yes.
nothing. I think we hit some good points here.
All right. Well,
Definitely.
we're gonna wrap it up.
And thank you to everyone in
Yes.
the chat room. Thank you, everyone,
Absolutely.
for the excellent feedback. Please keep it coming to twitgameshow@gmail.com. And we'll see you all next Friday as we further hash out and evolve this idea.
Next Friday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific.
Be there.
Right
Alex?
here
I will be
on
here.
TWiT.